Let's look at question 19. This is from Metalcaster, I think is how you would say your name. How do we actually honor leaders that we find personally dishonorable? Some find President Trump dishonorable. Some find President Biden dishonorable. What does honoring them actually entail? That's a good question. So let me throw a bit of a monkey wrench into this discussion. And it's something I think about every once in a while. I don't know exactly why. So Jesus talking in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 13, verse 31 and 32. At that very hour, some Pharisees came and said to him, "Get away from here, for Herod wants to kill you." Now, Herod was the king. Well, not the king. Yeah, no. I'm trying to think of the timeline. When Jesus was born, Herod was the king of the Jews. Later in Jesus' life and his ministry here, there's multiple Herods, and he's not technically the king of the Jews. He's a ruler of Galilee, but not technically a king anymore. They've been demoted. And anyway, Herod wants to kill you. So he's a high up political leader. He controls the region of Galilee, the tetrarch. Right? And he said to them, "Go and tell that fox, behold, I cast out demons and perform cures today and tomorrow, and on the third day I finish my course." In other words, Jesus just straight up called Herod a fox, and it was not a compliment back then. He wasn't foxy. No, foxes are a nuisance. Foxes are a nuisance. They come and they eat your chickens, and they mess things up, and they dig holes in your field, and foxes are a nuisance to them. A fox is like a pest. So Jesus' words here calls Herod a fox. And here's where the reason why I bring this up is because I want to balance this out. Like, I want to have respect for the leaders of the country, but I also recognize that Jesus called him a fox. And it's just something that balances us out a little bit, right? Okay, so as a Christian, I want to always respect the offices, even if I have a hard time respecting the people in the offices that are inhabiting that office. So the point at which we have crossed the threshold, in my opinion, in our country, we no longer respect the offices of our country very well, right? All of the above. In an effort to tear down the opposition, we have torn down the very integrity of the office itself. This is in our political fights in our country. The office itself has been damaged and torn down, and everybody just takes turns, right? Because when a Democrat's in office, the Republicans do it. When the Republicans in office, the Democrats do it. And overall, the respect for the positions themselves has dropped dramatically. And that's something I'm deeply concerned about, and I don't want to go down that road. But I also want to still have the ability to call out problems as I see them. And so I want to be able to call out, and forgive me, guys, I'm going to share openly some things here that might offend people. Okay, I do think these things are very true. I think they seem to be demonstrably true. Is that Donald Trump is and was a real scoundrel and a bad person. And in all my years, voting up until Trump showed up, I was always told by my spiritual leaders that character in the office mattered. And all of a sudden they didn't care anymore when he was in office. And I would say about Joe Biden that Joe Biden seems obviously totally corrupt and abuses his power in the government in order to get money. And with nepotism and all sorts of other things that are going on. This just seems like proven true. Now, maybe I'm wrong on those things. So let's suppose that I'm wrong on both those counts. Fine. I'm just call it a hypothetical. Let's pretend that that's the case. It can't be wrong to still deal with the issues themselves of corruption and immoral behavior. That can't be wrong. But then at some point I put the brakes on and I go, but still, I will salute the president. And I will follow the orders that are coming from the office because that's what I'm supposed to do. So that you have somebody like Jesus or like John the Baptist who know exactly where the limit of respecting a leader goes. And maybe that's what we're looking at with Jesus. He goes, tell that fox. He's telling, oh, Herod wants to kill me. He's going to stop me on my mission from God. No, that's not going to happen. I'm going to do what I'm going to do for the Lord. But if Herod raised the taxes, Jesus would pay the taxes. And so there's a limit to governmental authority, and they seem to be respecting those things. So John the Baptist, I brought up because he's an example of this. John the Baptist, he preached righteousness, and he openly preached against Herod because Herod had married his brother's wife. She left her husband, and then they got married, and it was wrong, and it was immoral. And he openly preached against the immorality of somebody in a public office. He didn't even talk about Herod's politics, but he openly preached against the sexual immorality of someone in public office. And this ended up getting him killed. That's why John the Baptist got his head cut off. So I think that as a Christian, I should respect the office, but when I want to deal with open wickedness that is going on from those who are in the office, I should do that. And the only thing I'll add is I'd like it if people could do this without falling into the trench of party lines where they are only critical of people in the other trench, right? I'm only critical of, this is why I use Trump and Biden as examples of this, because they're both examples of corruption and immoral behaviors. They are, morally speaking, I believe. And what I see is people who only do it to one or the other. And that seems to be a different issue altogether. So yeah, I respect the office. I would, honor the commands that they have given, pay the taxes. But when they are modeling immoral and ungodly behavior, I want to openly come against that. Yeah.